Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. My name is Elaine. I'm owner and creator at Inspired by My Angel, CLM. And today I wanted to take you along on my journey. I have a vision in my mind's eye that I would like to accomplish, and the first part of it is going to require me to be working down here on the bench. What I'm going to be doing is adding this birdhouse. The look I'm going for is a spring design, a little on the woodsy side, almost as if we had gone for a walk through the woods and we've come upon a cabin and someone has placed a birdhouse, and what we're going to see as we venture a little bit closer. So that gives you an idea of where I'm going and what my thought process is. So the first thing that I need to do is to attach my birdhouse. Going ahead and drilled some holes in the wood and attach some binding wire, which is a covered wire with fabric. And I've put that in 3 places, and this is where I had decided I wanted to place my birdhouse, is down here on the right hand corner. So let me go ahead and do that, and I apologize if I get in your sight as I'm doing this. I'll try to make it. I'm just slipping the binding wire through my grapevine. I'm beginning at the top. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to use, you can get these at, I think I got mine at Hobby Lobby. Here's the camera. It's just a little plastic needle that I guess they use it for knitting. I'm just going to place that on my binding wire, just to help me get through the grapevine. That way I can just, it's a lot easier for me to just slip this through and pull it through the other side. Okay, so that went much easier. So now I'm going to twist that. So now I'm going to come to the opposite corner on the bottom from where I had just inserted and put that needle on. It makes it a lot easier to get through. And I'm just going to go through my grapevine, pulling that through, and I'll do the same thing with the other. Making sure I'm grabbing a good section of the grapevine, so the birdhouse will be nice and secure. So now I've got my 2 pieces of binding wire through. Let me just pull that, make sure I've got that where I'm going to want. That looks good. Let me just twist that off. I'm not going to tighten it all the way in case I find I need to move it. You would do that if you were attaching a sign or any other type of wreath attachment. Wait before you cut anything off. Whoops. I had put a hanger on the top so that I would know where my center was, and I can see I've got my birdhouse off center. The reason why you don't finish it off so that you can still move it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is place my hanger on this line on my cutting pad that I have on my table. I know that's the center. And now I'll move my birdhouse so I have it straight. Okay, so we'll do that process again. feeding the binding wire through the grapevine. This is really the most difficult part of the whole wreath. Slip that through. We're through. Let me line that up again so I don't make the same mistake twice. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to give that a twist. Again, keeping that lined up. And now I can put my final tie on. Okay, I'm going to twist this off, pulling it nice and tight, now that I know I have it lined up properly. And just twist that, and this binding wire, I believe, is 18 gauge wire that's covered in a paper-like fabric. And it's nice and flexible, so you can twist and you can also tie it. So I'll go ahead now and I'll clip that off, and I'll go back and make sure my other ones are secure. I think I need to come back up through on this one. Needle again. This didn't feel quite secure enough, so I'm bringing it around and back up and through. So I'm just using that needle again to help me feed it through the grapevine. Okay, and now I'll tighten this one. A couple of twists and then knot it. And cut the excess off. Okay, so now we have our birdhouse attached where I wanted it. It's nice and secure. And then the next thing I'm going to do is something I have never done before, and I thought I'd like to share it with you. I saw this technique used. If you can see, this grapevine is very open. It doesn't have a really tight weave to it. So what I'm going to do, and also to give it that woodsy feel, is I'm going to cover the base with a little bit of Spanish moss, which is going to give it that woodsy, out in the forest, if you would. So I'm just going to take my Spanish moss. I'm not gluing, I'm just applying, making sure I have my hanger centered. And I'm just going to lay this Spanish moss on top of our grapevine wreath. And what this is going to do is give us more, not only create texture, but it's going to give us something for our stems to go through and be more secure in our grapevine. And in this design, I'm thinking I'm going to leave this side open. But if I think we need to go all the way, we can do that later. But to start off, all we did was lay our grapevine with the moss. So now what I need to do to hold that Spanish moss in place is I'm going to begin with a little bit of my greenery. Oops. The first greenery I'm going to use is from this bush of fern. And I've gone ahead and cut off about 6 or 7 pieces, and I'm going to place those. So as I said, I already have these cut. So not only is this going to hold our moss, this is giving me the line that I need to establish for the design. I pulled off just if you can see that, I pulled off just a few pieces of the fern just to give me some stem to insert into the grapevine. And I'm going to begin right here below the birdhouse. And just place that in, giving it a bend, a little bit of movement. We've got our first one in place. The birdhouse is going to act as my central binding point. This is our transition from the way the direction that our florals and greenery will go. Usually that's established with a bow, but this design won't have a bow. So I'm just removing those lower pieces, and I'm going to dip the stem in my glue and insert. Again, kind of lifting it up so it's not flat. Okay, so we've got 2 going in that direction. Now we're going to start to work our way up the wreath. Again, just removing those bottom leaves to give us some stem to work with. Going through the Spanish moss and into the grapevine. Again, bending it, giving it some motion. Now we're going to start going in this direction. Once I get this part done, I'll put the wreath on the easel and work from there. I think it'll be easier for you to see. But for this part, until I have the Spanish moss secured. So I'm going to leave a space. Again, I'm coming right through that moss, getting our line perimeter established. And then we'll be doing all of the remainder that we're adding to it will stay within that line. So again, I'm leaving a little space, going through the moss into the vine, lifting as I go. come up here to the top, leaving a space, making sure I'm making good contact with the vine. Getting our direction. One more piece of this, and then I've got a little bit of other greenery to put in here. And now I want this to start curving back down just slightly. I'm just pushing that moss in around the base of the stem just to give it a little bit more security. Okay? So there you can see we've established a line here at the top and coming back down. Now I've got a little bit more. I had a, I believe this is a philodendron, I'm not sure. And all that I did was I took one of these long pieces, cut it off, and then I cut all the leaves off into smaller sections. And that's going to help us cover our base. They call this greening the base. I have joined 2 classes for design. They're online classes, just to give you a little bit more history about me. Again, this is helping keeping our Spanish moss in place. I kind of put that one into the center of the vine. And I'm going to work in a back and forth. So now I'm going to come to the inside, catching the moss, and inserting into the vine. Always do the insertion in the direction of the vine. So that one I came to the outside. I'm just pushing that moss down in between, getting a nice, secure insertion. And constantly pulling glue strings. Okay, so next, let's come back up into the center between the 2 ferns. Again, inserting between the 2 through the moss, and then just pushing that moss around the base. Just adding a little bit of security to it. Now I'm going to come up between these 2 ferns and I'm going to place one there. And this time I'll go more to the outside. Just kind of in a back and forth motion. Okay, through the moss, making sure I'm making contact with that vine. And you can see I'm not placing them in flat. They've got movement. Now between these 2, and we've got one more piece. You can see how that's filling in and it's holding our moss in place. I think right up here, behind that fern, or next to it. So I placed one on the inside, so we'll go to the outside with this one. Okay, so now you can see what we've done. We've established a line. We've inserted our greenery, our second greenery, adding a lot of texture. And it's holding our moss in place. And now what I'll do is I'm just going to stop the video while I move the camera and set up the easel. Okay, I'm back. Hoping you can see this okay. So I've put it up on the easel. Hopefully this will make it easy for you to see. And you can see what we have accomplished so far. I did go ahead and I just placed a little bit more of Spanish moss and one more fern right here to this side. Okay, so we've got this coming in this direction, the birdhouse being our transition, and now everything is going to be on this side of our wreath. Okay, let me just clean up this workstation a little bit. We're done with our fern. I have one more piece of our philodendron that I think I'm going to place as we did here, right in between these two ferns. And as I was telling you, I get these ideas and it forms a picture in my mind, and like the wreath is telling a story. So as I said at the beginning of the video, with this one I just felt like I've gone for a walk and I've gone through the woods. It's early spring and I've walked quite a ways, and all of a sudden in the distance I can see a house, like a little cabin, shack type, and I get a little closer, someone lives there, and that's where we are at this point. Just filling you in on my thought process, as crazy as it is, it helps me create. Okay, so next what I'd like to do is to get some of other, let me show you what my plans are to use. I've got these, I'm not sure if they're apple blossoms. I think that's what they might be. And I've gone ahead and cut them up, and they've got branches with just a little bit of leaves because it's spring and they're just budding open. So my thought is to give it more of that early spring woodsy. We'll get some height going because predominantly we're going to be working on this side of our wreath. So I've got those, and then I also have very similar cherry blossoms. Again, spring, to bring in a little bit of color. We've got the white, and then I'm going to go in with this kind of peachy coral color. I'm just in love with this color this year. So we'll be adding some of those. And like I said, we'll do this together. We'll think it through as we go. And then I'd like to introduce some tulips that have just sprouted in and amongst this clearing that we've come across. And I'm not sure if I want to keep it more color blocked. That was a thought that I had, that perhaps I would start off with this color. It's like a green and yellow, and then transition down into some yellow, and then repeat that pinky coral color and kind of give it a color block. So those are some thoughts, and we'll figure that out as we go. I also have some additional greenery that we'll add in at the end to fill in, and it's kind of wispy, almost like a weeping willow. and we'll see if we can use some of that. I also brought over, but I'm not sure if I'll use them, I have this stem of large berries that I was thinking if we need to bring in a little bit more texture, we may use these. I'm not sure. We'll see how we go. And then because we have the birdhouse, my thought was maybe I have these, I think they're robins, and they're one of the first signs of spring, or maybe it's a sparrow, I'm not sure. But I thought maybe that somewhere in the design, maybe one of them perched here on the edge of our birdhouse or up here on the roof. We'll see as we go, maybe if we can incorporate a bird into that. I think that would be nice. Okay. A little bit more about me, if this is your first time. I have a few videos out there on YouTube. I hope you'll go and see some of my others. My journey in wreath making began in September of 2020. So I'm very new at this. As I said earlier, I have signed up for a couple of design classes that I take online, and I'm learning a tremendous amount. But prior to joining the classes, I lost my job due to the COVID. And that was, the store was, I was working in a small ladies consignment shop, and we were forced to close at the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020. How I was laid off. However, she was able to reopen in May. Business was slow. People were fearful and not coming out. So her business never really picked up. So unfortunately, she couldn't sustain the business. There just wasn't enough traffic coming in. So she was forced to close her business down. And that was a very sad day. We were a small group of girls and had developed very strong friendships. So I found myself without a job, and my thoughts were, what am I going to do with myself? The first thing, now September, I said, oh, let me get some of my decoration out for the fall. So I came out and got my fall wreath, and it had seen better days. I had used it 2 years, I think. And I had purchased it. That was my habit. I had never made wreaths prior to this. And my search began going to YouTube. So I go to YouTube, and I found so many designers willing to share their knowledge, their talents, and do some DIYs. So after watching many and going and seeing on Facebook also, there were designers who were sharing, and two of these particular designers that I was watching are the ones that I ended up, they offered online classes in design that I ended up joining their classes. But anyway, what I did is I headed to the craft store and I purchased some materials and I made a wreath. And the wreath came out quite nice. I was impressed with myself. But more than the beauty of the wreath that I had created, though that was thrilling, was the process gave me such joy that I never would have realized would have happened with me making a wreath. So now I am passionate about making wreaths. I just can't get enough of doing this. So I need to cut this a little shorter for you. I know your time is valuable. So what has led me to do is open an Etsy shop. I began making wreaths, and what am I going to do with all these wreaths? So through these design classes and other people that belong, through the comment sections, I heard about Etsy. I had heard of Etsy, but this led me to investigate online a little bit more. So fast forward to later in October, I opened an Etsy shop, and I named that shop Inspired by My Angel, CLM, and I'm now selling my wreaths online. But the reason for doing the video is to show you I'm a newbie. I'm just beginning. And what I would like to accomplish is share that with you, and perhaps you'll see that you could do this. Hopefully it would bring you joy, and learn with me as I go through this process. So that's what it's all about. I want to be able to give back, but maybe not as intimidating as experienced designers. Perhaps you would enjoy watching me as someone who's just learning, and we can do this together. So that's the reason for my videos, and I'm very thankful that you're here and you're watching this. And if you are, please leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of my video. Okay, so let's move forward with the design. Okay, I'm going to bring my tree blossoms, and I'm going to start with my longer, which happens to be this apple blossom. And I want to figure out where I would like that placed. And I'm thinking maybe central, close to the birdhouse, and then I can work off here and off from here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm dipping the stem in my glue pot, which is just a kitchen skillet, an electric skillet that you can adjust the temperature. You put your glue sticks in there, and it's just an easier way than squeezing a glue gun. It allows you to just dip your stems. Less chance of getting burnt also. Okay, so there we go. I don't really want it to be perfectly straight because, let's face it, in nature, things aren't perfect. So I'm just giving that a little bit of a bend, and we've placed our first. So in design school, they call this greening the base and establishing a line, the perimeter. And the other thing that I have learned is to, if you place one in one spot, come opposite and place another. So this could actually look like if I came opposite here and just brought that color back down, like a blossom fell, the wind was blowing strong, and a little branch fell off and it's landed down here. So I'm going to place that one here. Once I insert, I make sure I give it a bend so it's not flat to the vine. Okay, so now we've introduced a little bit of that color down here. And I think that looks pretty. Make sure that's nice and secure. And let's see what others we have here. Here's another longer. So how about if we came out a little more in this direction? Remember, I've got my perimeter set, so I don't want to come past that. So I think I need to, once I insert that, have that come down more about here. So I'm going to cut a little bit more off my stem. Get a little bit of glue. And again, I want to make sure I'm coming through my moss and into the vine. Give it a little wiggle if it's necessary. And as I go along, I'm pressing that moss in at the base of my stem, giving it a little more security. Okay, so this branch is coming off to the side. That looks really pretty. I can see it in my mind. And this is similar to what I'm seeing. Excuse me, let me just take a little sip. Okay, I've got a few more of those. I'm thinking, because I placed one there, I need to come again down here to the bottom. So I'm going to place this one. We've created a triangle with those three. Through the moss, following the grain. Oops, we get a little more glue. Following the grain of the grapevine, giving it a bend. I don't want my flowers behind the greenery, so now we have another one coming out here. So it's almost like there's series of triangles. Like we could say, okay, we've got the birdhouse, and then we've got two blooms here, so we've created a triangle. We could say we have a triangle here. So you kind of keep that in mind as you are inserting your stems. Okay, I think that looks nice. Can you see that okay? Okay, I've got, let's see, 3 more little pieces. I'm just going to put those off to the side, and if we need to come back and add the color to get it evenly dispersed, we'll do that after. Okay, so now that's another thing, is to place your larger pieces. So now we've got our apple blossom. So let's see where we could place that. Get this fern coming up a little more here. That'll keep us in line. It's giving us height. So I think I want to place that one right in there, and I think I need a little bit more moss in that area. So I'm just going to pull my moss back out. And I'm just going to lay some on the vine, the wreath, right there. And I'm going to place this taller one up there. So I'm coming through that Spanish moss, right straight, not straight, in the direction that the vine is going. And there we've placed that, introducing another color, but still keeping that new blossom feel. Okay, as I said before, I placed one here. What they teach in design school is go opposite. So I'm thinking right over here, I need something coming out. Not quite that long, so I'm going to trim it down. I like the way there's like little buds. If you can see this, where's my camera? There's little buds on the branch with the new growth of the leaf. So I think I'm going to come out in this direction. Make sure I've got enough moss there. And because that's my transition, everything on this side of the birdhouse is going to come in this direction. Give it a bend. I like that. So now we've got just a piece over here on this side. Okay, let's see where we'll go next. 1, 2, we need to have another. So I'm thinking coming off right here, or maybe, let's see, actually up there. I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. leaving enough room, the stem to insert, and I think I'll come in this direction. Let a little bit of that twig on the end. It's a little thinner, wispier looking. I think we'll come out there. That looks nice. Can you see that, I hope? So we've just placed another one here. So we're getting a nice disbursement of color. And I like the way, see how that's moving? When this is on a customer's door, it's going to be very nice. Okay. Now, I do have a little greenery on this. I could bring this up, but I did want to leave part of my vine open. So let's hold off on that. Okay, I've got three. Let's see. This is another one. It's kind of twiggy. Maybe we could bring that up and have that coming in that direction. I don't think I like those quite so close though. Those colors. Actually, I think the place it would look best is going to be right over here. So that's where I'm going to place it. I'm going to take just a little bit of length. I'm just trying to get the color dispersed evenly. And that's the spot that tells me I need to yeah, I think that's going to look good there. Yeah, I like that. And you know what I think I'll do? I'll go back with these little pieces just to break that color there and introduce that over here as well. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. So I'm going to put these in one at a time. I've got two small pieces here. So I'll come in under the birdhouse, bending it upward, just giving me a little separation from these two colors, and then this bud can be hanging out a little bit. As I said, I'm new to this, especially new to creating a video. And it's probably unusual to be watching someone do it this way, but I'm new. And that's the thing is, you get to see it from the perspective of someone who is just learning, and I feel as though we're doing this together. I did get a little bit of glue on my leaf, and I'm just going to leave it alone because once it's dry, I can peel that right off. Okay, so we're staying within our line, our perimeter, so all is good. I still have some more of this, but I'm not quite sure I'm going to need it. I might have a little too much because this is already getting full. What I'd like to do now is introduce some tulips. And I'm still trying to decide if I should do it in a color block. All right, let me cut, a couple of these off, and we'll get them inserted and see if it looks good. As if someone put their bulbs in all the same colors together. Or perhaps it should be mixed, like the squirrels stole the bulbs and placed them wherever. I know that used to happen in my yard up north. I'm located in Central Florida, originally from the state of Rhode Island. And I'm just going to bring that one up top. And the squirrels were great for doing that, digging up my bulbs. And I would find tulips growing in the middle of my lawn, daffodils. Okay, so we've got that in the back. So we put one up there. I'm going to bring another one down here. Going right through that moss, because don't forget, that's helping us keep our stems secure, because this vine was a little open. Okay, so we've got two. Let's get another. I'm just trying to form that triangle, so I'm going to bring this one here in the back. So we've got one here, and now I'm introducing another one there. And I'm going to add a little bit of moss right in that section where I'm inserting. And we've got a tulip up there. Okay. Now let's just see how that would work. We can go back and bring others in. We'll just see how the color blocking look would be. So now I'm going to introduce a little bit of my yellow. Although, you know, I need to bring one tulip over here. So let me do that before I go on. And earlier what I had done is I knocked this right off of the stem, being a little too aggressive. I'm going to just tap a little glue, and I'm going to put that tulip right back on, like so. I like that it has this little thin leaves of new growth. Let's see. I don't want it to get too crowded. I'll take another piece of moss, and I'm going to just place it right there on the wreath, and then I'm going to insert this stem through it and into the vine. And I'm liking the way this is working out. It's the first time I'm ever doing it like this. Okay, so now we've got some here and just a little bit on this side. I like the way that looks. Now I'll go ahead and do the yellow and see how we like that. Okay, so we've got our light green up here. So now let's try bringing in some yellow below it. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to add a little bit of moss right there. A little bit more. I'm inserting, you know, a good 2 inches below where I want the flower to sit, and I didn't get a good insertion, so I'm going to bring that back out and come in right here. That's better. Okay. So now we've got a little yellow. Just bend that a little bit. I'm going to cut this flower off. I don't like the way it's too open. I like it a little bit more closed. Actually, this green one too. I think it's too open. Okay, we'll get another yellow. Got one there. We're kind of trying to do this color blocking, so I want to keep them close. There, so we have another cluster. Need one more yellow. I don't think I'm going to bring it over here. I think I'm going to bring it to the outside. And this one has a little bit of the green leaf. I like that. It's introducing a little bit more texture. So I'm thinking maybe come out here. Maybe a little further down. And I don't want to hide my cherry blossoms. You just let those tulips peek out. Can you see that? Just have those peeking out here at the side. So we've got our 3 yellow. So now let's introduce our pinks, yellow. It's kind of a pink coral and yellow. Try to find one that has 3. I do want to get another up here at the top. So I'm thinking I'm going to need a little more moss up there because it's pretty open. And I like the texture that it's adding. So I'm just going to wedge that inside the vine. You can see that. I just wedged that in. And now I'm going to come back and go through it and into the vine. And now we've just brought a little bit of that color up to the top. Actually think we need another right in this area. So I'll wedge a little bit of my moss right in there. And then come back with my stem, like so, and push that moss around the stem, adding a little more security to it. There. I'm sorry for my head being in your way. I just want to make sure I got a good insertion. Okay, that looks good, and I like the way that's drooping down. The way as the head opens, it gets heavier in nature, and it would droop like that. Okay, now I need to bring a little bit down in this area. So we've got 2. So now we brought in our third. Everything in threes is another rule of thumb. Odd numbers create visual interest and keeps the eye moving. Okay, that looks nice. It's like the spot we found in the woods is bursting to life. Okay, let's see. What else? We've got our 3 in there. Not to say we can't add more, but I mean I will if needed. But let's see. I've got this grass that I think would look nice in there. So let's get a little bit of this in there, and then we'll see if we need to add more florals. I really think we've got quite enough blooms going on in here. So I think I would like to fill in some of the holes that I have with this greenery. I think I'll start up here at the top. I like the wispiness of this. Just give that a bend back. So I like that. It's more natural looking. So that's just trailing over. Let's get a piece of that down here at the bottom, the opposite of where we just placed that one. It's just offering us a little more interest and texture. I like the way it's shaded. You can see that. Like there's new growth, the darker and then the lighter, giving us new growth for spring. I like to, it's nice to keep it, I mean, we know it's artificial, but it's nice to keep it as close to nature as we can, creating that garden, woodsy feel. And I think that will look nice just trailing out right here. So I'm going to cut this stem a little shorter. I like that. I like that it's trailing down. Give it a little bend. Give us a little more length right there. And I think another piece there would look pretty. So let me get another piece. As I said earlier, I have done some other videos. I'm learning all different styles, centerpieces, mesh wreaths. If you wouldn't mind, visit my Etsy shop, Inspired by My Angel, CLM. I've got close to 100 items in there, and you can just take a look and see the other styles that I've been learning along the way. think maybe over here in between these two ferns. That looks nice. I think over here, I think I'll need to add a stem to this. All right, I'll go back there in a second and I'll show you how to add a floral pick. Okay, I've got 2 here, 1 there, so I've got my 3, but I think I want to bring another one up in this area. Let me see. Maybe behind our tulip. Yeah. It's filling in, but it's not real heavy. It's kind of just wispy, adding that texture. And as I said, the wind will catch that. Look very pretty on the door, on the porch, wherever you decided to use this. Yeah, I like that. I can see we've got a hole right here. Got a few places. I like to stand back, kind of take a look at it. I think I would like to put the bird. I'm not sure where we'll put the bird. Should we put him below? Or maybe he landed up here on top. Let me get one of these birds off. Oh, if you can see him, how cute he is. Makes me think of a red-breast robin. We could have him perched here. Oh yeah, I wouldn't like him going that way. So I think he needs to be right up here on the house. Let's see. Or he could be here on the wreath. But I think I want to leave this a little bit of the natural. I like the naturalness of the grapevine, so I think I would like that to remain blank there. We could have him right here in the front, though he'd be blocking the door a little. Decisions, decisions. I kind of think right there maybe. So I'm just going to take one of my stems here. And I'm just going to apply a good amount in a small area of glue. And let's place him right there. I'm just going to place a little bit of moss behind him where that glue is still warm. That's perfect for making nests. Yeah, I like that there. Can you see that? Let me bring it a little bit closer. Okay, so we've just got him landing on the peak of the roof. Now I still need to fill in down here at the bottom. So I think I didn't do a real good job with the color blocking. I think I like them more mixed in. So I think I'll come in here with some of our tulips. That looks good right there. You see this hole right here? Let's bring in one of our yellow for some contrast there. When they have these little pieces of spiky grass, if you just run your finger over it like you would do with a curling ribbon, you can get those to bend so they're not so straight and stiff looking. See that? It just gives it a little something, a little more realistic. Yeah, I think right in there. And that just fills in there under the birdhouse. All right, let me get a floral pick. Okay, this is a floral pick. Just got a point, and it has a wire attached to it. And this piece of greenery didn't have much of a stem to it. So you just place that right beside, and you take the wire, and you just wrap it around the stem to the stick. Okay, so now I have something longer that I wanted to insert right over here. Next, to finish it off, is floral tape. You take the floral tape, I go to the top, and you stretch the floral tape. That releases it to become sticky. Now you probably can't see me doing this, but I'm just taking it and winding it and pulling at the same time. And then we have a stem long enough that I should be able, yes, I'll insert that right here where I was trying to go in before. You making sure I'm making some contact with that grapevine. Yeah, I like that. And that's just kind of draping over a bird. He's hiding. Lots of glue strings to pull off. Once I'm done, that before I take my photos to put this in my Etsy shop, I'll go over it and make adjustments in the florals if needed, bend them in another direction, remove all my glue stems, floral stems that might be poking through. Let's take a look and see how we did. Oh, we did great. Here's the back. And because we were going in the direction of the grapevine, we didn't have any come straight through. But if I can see glue places, I'll go in with some Spanish moss. Like I can see a stem right here. I'll trim that. And then I'll hit it with a little bit of our Spanish moss. And I'll take a short video so people can get a better look. Just going to let this trail in between our blossom here. I think it's looking pretty good. I think right here though we have a hole. So I could come in, see that, and I could fill in with that one. And I like that it has the twig on it, so we could place that right there. I think I'll do that, and that will fill that in. It's all pretty much stepping back and looking at it. It's almost as if the wreath tells you what to do. You'll see it. There, that kind of filled that spot in. Can you see that? So we've got some blossoms close to the grapevine that's bringing your eye in. And that's what we want. We want them to see the entire wreath. We don't want them to just focus on one area of the wreath. Okay, so now we'll look at balance. I'm coming off in this direction. I'm coming out in this direction. It looks a little heavier to me on this side, so I think I need to bring something to balance it on this side. So let's go. We still have some more of our apple blossoms, and let's see what that would do. Like I said, I think it's a little heavy there. I think we need to bring this in right over here. See, that would, the weight, that would even it out a little bit more. So let me cut some of this stem off. I don't want to cover our fern. So maybe in front of it like that, opposite this one. Yeah, I think that would look good. Okay, let me get that in place, and then we'll stand back and take a look again. I apologize if I keep getting in your way. I'm new to this. I'm sure as I go along I'll get a little better. Okay, let's stand back and take a look. I think that looks good. We've got a little more. Maybe we need another one here or up here. I think up here. to balance out. See how far out I am on over here? Can you see that? So let's just look in this set. We look here and come across, and there's a void right there. So I think this one should go up here. Let me just see where I need to insert for the final, where the floral, the blooms will land. Yeah, see how we've got a twig coming out this way? And if we have one up there, it adds balance. So let's do that. Pardon my head, just for a moment. And let me get that in. Okay. That might be out a little bit too far. I'm going to push that down a little bit more. Okay, so here we have that one here. I know you can't see it that good, but we draw a line, and now we've got this one out. And I'm probably, let me put my thumb to my hand. Yep, about the same distance, about my thumb to the end of my fingers. So we've created some balance there. And if we look here, we've got this coming out in this direction, but I have a fern coming out. So I think that balances that. I think I need something else right in here. I wonder if another one of our ferns might look nice in there. Let's try it. If we don't like it, we can take it out, right? I don't want it to be super long. So I'm just going through this bush and kind of looking at the lengths. As you get a little closer to the center, they're a little shorter. So here's a shorter one. Let me take that one out. Just hold it there and see. Oh yeah, I would like that. I'm going to pull the ends off like we did at the beginning of the video when we were inserting the fern, just giving me a stem. Can you see that? Yeah, it's like there's a hole right here. So we'll add this in. Give it a little upward bend. It's like this other one didn't seem to fill that well enough. The drapey one wasn't enough substance to it. So now you can see we just placed that there. I like that better. So I think we've got a little more balance. And I'm thinking we need maybe another fern up here. And I really think we've got enough going on that I'm not sure that I would use the berries. We'll take a look at the berries. It's glue strings. I just take the glue strings and drop them right back in my skillet and let them melt again. Yeah, I think as a backdrop for that tulip, that would look good. Like I said, the vine is a little wide, so I am going to take a little bit of my moss. I'm going to place it up there. And then I'm going to go through that, down into the vine, pressing that moss around the glue just to make it more stable. I like that better. So we've got length here. We've got some length up there. I'm thinking I need another fern coming out in this direction. So let's get one in there. See how we like it. I'll hold it up first. Let me get the ends off. Give me your thoughts. Well, you can't give me your thoughts, can you? I know so many people do lives that they're able to watch comments. I don't think, I'm not a good multitasker. I don't think I would be able to do that. Yeah, I think that would look nice. This coming in behind that blossom. Eventually, I hope to be able to do lives and I can interact with those of you watching the videos. But right now, being new, I feel as though I really need to focus on my designing. I would miss all the comments, I think. It wouldn't be pretty. So for now, I'll just create the videos and post them, and hopefully you'll leave me comments and I can go back and read them once I've got this video up. Okay, I think that looks good. All right, let me hold it up so you can get a better look at it. And I can too. I can turn it. So, we've walked through the forest and we've come upon a little shack. Someone has a birdhouse out. There's a robin who's landed. Our apple blossoms, the trees are beginning to bloom. The tulips have sprung out of the ground. The apple tree is getting ready has begun to bloom. You can see nothing is flat on the wreath. It's dimensional. So I'm just going to turn it so you can see. We've got a nice full wreath. I went ahead and I did put a hanger. So when someone purchases this from my Etsy shop, it'll be ready to go right on their door. Okay, you can see it from this. I'll show you from this angle. Our house is nice and sturdy. I think we did it. I like it. It tells a story. And I like the story. You know what? I think this one's bothering me. I think I'm going to cut this one off. It was like a little bit too heavy right there. Yeah, I like that better. After, if I find a place for this, I'll place it. Actually, I could do it right now and come out down below. Let me do that. It has a few of those little buds on it. I'll cut those off so I can get my stem in. That would get hooked up on the, come on this side and see right where I was thinking, right here. Okay. There. I like that. And you can see nothing is super straight. It's got to bend the way I want to bend that a little bit more. And I'll go through and do that the way it would be in nature. They wouldn't be perfect. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope that I've inspired you to find your joy. If it be in making a wreath, whatever that may be, I hope that you can find your joy and will continue to come along with me on my journey. I would really appreciate having you come along with me, and I would really appreciate your comments and let me know what you think on how I'm doing. If I could be clearer in my descriptions as to what I'm doing. I'm trying to give you as much information as I can, why I've chosen, my thought process, why I've picked certain colors, why I'm putting moss. That's my desire, is to be able to show you that you can do this. If this is something you think that you would like to do, you will be able to do it. So I'll say goodbye for now, and thank you so much for being with me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye now.